Okay, and we're going. Welcome to the second episode of the Flagrant Sports Podcast. I meant to do this a couple days ago, but Christmas season, car getting totaled, all that good stuff. All right, so first order of business, I'm gonna get right to it. Is we saw Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. What a pretty entertaining card. There were some interesting moments. Let me go through the prelims real quick, see if I want to talk about anything. I haven't rewatched anything since it's happened, and it's Thursday on the 23rd. So my memory might be a little bit fuzzy. Let's go to that main card. Cub Swanson, man. He looked like an absolute assassin against Darren Elkins. Like, it was crazy how good that dude looked. Like, he popped off. That was a vintage Cub Swanson performance. He was just in and out and so elusive with his striking and his head movement. It was pretty crazy. It was good to see that. And then I'm just going to skip to, let's see here. Amanda Lemos versus Angela Hill. That was a really close fight. I haven't watched it again, but my initial reaction was I thought Angela won the fight. But I'll say this, and this is for future reference. I am the worst live scorer of all time. Like, I'll go back. Like, I score a lot of big fights on my notebook. Like, I'll write it down, and I'll go back and look at it and whatnot. And I look back at some of my live scoring. I was like, what was I thinking? Like, just nonsense. So I'm much better scoring on like my second viewing, my third viewing, all that stuff. So, and I didn't write any of this down, but just off the top of my head, I had Angela winning the second and third round, but it was very close. I mean, you could definitely give Lemos those rounds. Not necessarily the second, I don't think. I remember one judge gave her a 30-27, which I thought was a little strange. You're always going to get that one judge, though, that's going to be like, no, she won all the rounds. It's like, okay, buddy. Okay, anyways, next fight. Bilal Muhammad versus Wonderboy, man. This was kind of sad to watch, but also very intriguing to watch because, on one hand, it's really hard to evaluate where Wonderboy's at because he got dominated by Gilbert Burns, but I don't think there's any shame in that. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Gilbert Burns is the second best welterweight right now. So losing to him in the fashion that he did, like, he didn't get finished, I think it went to decision. Yeah, he didn't get finished. So that's kind of nice, not to get finished by Gilbert. That's a tall task, especially given, what he did to Usman, so. But it's just tough to see what happened with this fight with Bilal we just watched because, man, is Bilal that good, or is Wonderboy kind of falling off? Because it used to be really hard to take Wonderboy down, but this last couple of fights, I mean, people are doing it at will. Bilal looked like Khabib out there, just taking him down and mauling him, and just keeping him there. You can't, like, Wonderboy couldn't do anything with it. Once, like, Bilal got him down, that was pretty much the round, each and every round. And I don't know, man. It's, like I said, it's hard to evaluate where Wonderboy's at right now because he is, like, 38, I think, 38, 39. So he could very well be on the decline, not as fast and nimble as he used to be in terms of, like, his defensive wrestling. Or maybe Bilal is just that dude. I mean, Bilal is a really good fighter. So, I mean, both possibilities are likely, It could be either. Or maybe it could be both, Maybe Bilal is just that dude and Wonderboy is starting to kind of not be able to hang around with the top guys anymore at welterweight, which is a sad thing to say because, everyone loves Wonderboy. He's such a nice guy, and he's a legend, man. I mean, he's taken out some really good guys and had some incredible fights with some amazing guys. Obviously, the Wonderboy or the Tyron Woodley fights. First one going to a draw. Second one a very close but boring decision. And he's beaten wrestlers before. I mean, like Johnny Hendricks, although Hendricks was past his prime, or should I say past USADA. That's kind of mean. Anyways, Johnny Hendricks, Woodley. What are some other wrestlers he's taken care of? I don't know. I can't think of it at the top of my head. But, so, like, it's very strange that we're seeing this out of him. I think it might just be the end of the road for Wonderboy, but you can never count a guy like him out. So, yeah, that was that. real quick, I kind of want to go through what I'm going to talk about today. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Lewis versus Daukaus. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Woodley versus Jake Paul, because, oh my God, was that wild. Very unexpected. Well, I don't know, man. I didn't know what to expect. It's hard to say it was unexpected when I didn't know what to expect. And then I want to update. I've gotten a couple people to ask me to update my men's pound for pound, the people's pound for pound list that we came up with on live. And I'm going to finally update it. And I was going through it. I was looking right before I started this podcast. I was kind of looking through it. I was like, oh, we got some names that might jump up. So I'm going to be on the podcast live. I guess not live, but like while I'm doing the podcast, I'm going to be updating it. I'm going to run it through, and I'll show a picture, hopefully, if I remember. But anyways, and I'll take y'all's questions, of course. But enough of that. Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. Man, this was strange because Daukaus was the favorite, which was really weird. I get Derek looked very, he looked very timid, very scared against Gane, scared to throw much because he couldn't really get a gauge on Gane, his distance and his timing and whatnot, because Gane's so hard to figure out. So I do understand from that, viewpoint on why you might favor Daukaus, and Daukaus has been on an incredible tear to start his UFC career. But at the same time, like, Derek Lewis was, he was tied for the most knockouts in UFC history. This dude's been around the block. He just got done challenging for an interim title. It's not like he lost to like some bum. I mean, Ciryl Gane is incredible. He's one of the best youngish in terms of MMA experience, youngish talents we have right now. But he put all that to rest, man. He made Daukaus fight his fight. He got in a brawl with him. At first, they were kind of feeling each other out. Derek was throwing threw like a switch kick to the head, which honestly, people underrate his athleticism. Like, that dude can throw some pretty nice switch kicks. Usually it's to the body, but threw it to the head, and, he's a very strong, powerful, explosive dude. So it was kind of cool seeing that from him, because people think that he's just kind of a right hand only type guy. But no, he has some variety in his toolbox, if you will. But he eventually just closed the distance and got in the pocket and just started brawling with Daukaus. And Daukaus, instead of getting out of there and maintaining his distance, he tried to brawl with Derek. And you cannot brawl with Derek because all Derek had to do was just land one. And he did. He landed one, got Daukaus hurt, and just kept raining on him. And it was over. Saw the eyes roll back, saw him, the legs give out. It was done. And it was nice seeing Derek get a win back, after kind of the underwhelming Gane performance. It's just really nice to see him get back in the win column in crazy Derek Lewis fashion, first round knockout. It was just really nice to see. And of course, he gave an iconic post-fight, post-fight interview and some post-fight antics, throwing his cup into the audience was awesome. And then just talking about how he can punch a cop and get away with it. This is the only time that he can do that, which I respect that. But yeah, so crazy main event and very intriguing co-main event. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty entertaining card. There was a lot of finishes, From I'm looking through this, yeah, submission, TKO, submission, TKO, TKO, submission, TKO, TKO. Yeah, it's crazy. But now I want to get to Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul. Because going into that fight, I once again picked Woodley because I thought he was going to change up his game plan, which he kind of did. I thought he was going to be more active because that's the thing that kind of killed him against Jake. Like, he allowed Jake to kind of just point fight him and keep him at bay with his jab and keep him on the outside, which is fine. I'm not knocking Jake for doing that. That's what you should do going against a guy like Tyron. But he allowed Jake to do that. And I thought in this next fight, he was going to, get in the pocket and just get more active, just throw more volume, because that's what he needed to do. Like, he has that we all know he has that powerful right hand. And if he hits you with it, at least with UFC gloves, we have yet to see it with boxing gloves, it can put you out. I mean, he's dropped Wonderboy with it. He's dropped Till with it. Koscheck, he's had some crazy knockouts with that right hand. Or not knockouts, but like crazy punches with that right hand. The Koscheck one was a knockout, and the Darren Till one pretty much led to the finish, But, so yeah, he kind of did that. If I remember correctly, he was a lot more active, but he just, he just got caught. He made a dumb move, dropped his left hand, and Jake benefited off that. Hit him with a clean right hook. Hit him with a little feint before that. Got him to drop his hand. Because I guess he was, I'm trying to remember, I guess he was feinting towards the body or something like that. And so Woodley dropped his hand. And boom, he was out. And like, I coined the phrase, the Andes coming from Toy Story. Like, Woodley hit the Andes coming. Like, that boy dropped. He hit the deck. Like, oh my gosh. It's one of those bad knockouts, too. Like, there's different types of knockouts, you fall on your butt, whatnot, you take a knee, something like that in boxing, but you get hit with one that just makes you face plant. Oh my, you don't even catch yourself, like, you straight up face plant. That is rough. It was kind of sad seeing that from Woodley, man, because Woodley it felt like he never really got his due. After the Lawler knockout to get the title, he went to a draw with Wonderboy. People kind of criticized how he fought, especially in the rematch. And then the Damian Maia fight. And then, I'm trying to think who else. He had one more title defense, didn't he? No, because it was Wonderboy, Maia, Till. Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of people criticized how he fought. They never really gave him his due as a champion. And so that kind of carried over into boxing, And his losing streak before he got cut by the UFC got dominated by Usman, and then dominated by Burns, and then dominated by Woodley. Had a nice little fun fight with Luque, but he got finished, So it was just a rough go of it. And that carried over into boxing. He's just getting clowned even more, especially given that now he's facing a YouTuber, and he's getting knocked out. Man, it's just tough to see. It is tough to see. But he's got to retire. Like, if I'm him, I'm retiring. You've gotten your paychecks. You've had your UFC legacy, all that stuff. Just give it a rest, man. Like, you don't have anything more to prove. Who cares? You got knocked out by Jake Paul. Just own up to it. But, man, it was rough to see. I felt bad because I want the MMA guy to win, I'm really respecting what Jake Paul's doing. He's like, he's doing a little act here. He's getting people to hate him. It's like classic fight game stuff. Get people to hate you. They want to see you lose, so they tune in. I want to see him lose. I'm tuning in. But it's kind of fun to watch him win because then he just gets more, annoying, and it's honestly kind of funny. I can't lie. But yeah, so that's how that fight went. I remember Woodley winning a couple of rounds, so like it was kind of evenly contested, before the knockout. So yeah, I mean, everyone, like, it is weird seeing how Woodley would knock like a lot of people out in the UFC. But I think a lot of that is attributed to the threat of the takedown, like there's obviously no, before I make this point, I just want to say, whenever he fucking dumped him, whenever Woodley dumped Paul on his back, that was pretty funny. But anyways, it's like the classic Khabib-Conor thing, when they respect your takedown so much, whenever you go to close that gap, they drop their hands just naturally because you have to respect the takedown, that leaves the chin wide open, so that doesn't translate into boxing, obviously. So his striking looks so much worse and so much, one-dimensional. But yeah, enough of MMA guys getting embarrassed again, because I don't want to see it anymore. I want to see him go against an actual boxer, because he kind of has to at this point. There's no way Paul can go against someone like a Nate Diaz or a Jorge Masvidal. Like, you have to face a legitimate professional boxer. Jorge is a great boxer, one of the best boxers in the UFC. but he's been training MMA for a decade now, probably more. I don't know what his boxing record looks like, if he even has a professional boxing record, but, he's been training MMA almost his entire life at this point. So, not him. It's got to be a professional boxer. If you want to go back to Tommy Fury, that's fine. It's just got to be someone who trains professionally in the art of boxing. But that's enough about that. I want to get to the pound for pound list, because this is going to be good. I was looking at some of these. I'm like, we got some new names. So I want to go through my original pound for pound. I don't even remember when I did this. This was like months ago. Probably in let me think. This was maybe in September, I want to say. September-ish. Yeah, that sounds right. Like late September, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Around September. And so if I remember, I'm going to put the list on the video so y'all can see it. But I'm going to run through it just in case I forget. So at number 1, I'm just going to go 1 through 15. So number 1, Chris Matino. Then Sean O'Malley, Paddy Pimblett, Ryan Hall, Luke Rockhold, Nick Diaz, Greg Hardy, Cowboy, Mike Perry, Connor, Derek Brunson, Vettori, Aljo, Kevin Lee, Walt Harris. And we have some reserves. Jeremy Stevens, but he can only move up if he loses. We got to remember that. Michael Johnson, Tai Tuivasa, John Jones, Joaquin Buckley, Martin Sano, Alex Oliveira, and Kevin Holland. So there it is. And now let's get to the updated list. Let me go ahead and delete all the guys they're recommending. They just gave me the actual pound for pound on this website. Don't need it. We're making the people's pound for pound. So, Chris Matino stays. Actually, no. Sean O'Malley just came off a great performance. He is now our number 1 Flagrant Sports pound for pound athlete on the planet. Congratulations, Mr. O'Malley. And then we're going to go Chris Matino, the iron punching bag. What did I just do? I accidentally went full screen. I pressed one of the F11, F1, whatever buttons. Sorry. Anyways, so Chris Matino, number 2. Then number 3, we have Paddy Pimblett. He'll stay at number 3. So we got Paddy Pimblett, number 3. Oh, actually, no. We're going Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall's at 4. He just came off of a good decision win. So we're going to go Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall moves to the 3rd spot. Congratulations. This is such a prestigious honor. Paddy Pimblett. There's 2 Paddy Pimbletts on this website for some reason. Luke Rockhold's got to drop majorly. Pulling out of that fight, that's a weak move. Don't care if you're injured. Doesn't matter. You have to fight. You have to. So we got Luke Rockhold. Then we got Nick Diaz. Both of those guys got to drop. They both, took an L in one way or another. So they're dropping. So that means, has Greg Hardy fought recently since I've made this? Greg Hardy record. Not criminal record, just record. Okay, he has not fought since Connor, so I guess he'll stay, even though he got rocked by Bam Bam. Actually, no. We're putting Bam Bam. Tai Tuivasa is jumping up from the reserves to the 5th ranked men's pound for pound Flagrant Sports list. Congratulations, because come on, he knocked out Greg Hardy. Even though this is kind of a meme, like this kind of based off the meme almost, the performances have to play a factor. The shoey is iconic. It's arguably the best celebration right now in MMA, in sports. We got Cowboy. Cowboy's dropping because he just lost that submission underground thing or whatever he did. Like some Eddie Bravo invitational thing. Mike Perry. Didn't he just fight? Let me just see. Mike Perry record. I could have sworn he just fought, didn't he? Right? Am I tripping? Or did his name come up in the news recently? Mike Perry leads broadcast table brawls with Juliana. Oh yeah, okay, that's what happened. He he was at the bare knuckle fighting championship or whatever, and he got in a brawl with someone while he was commentating. He literally just got up and started brawling with somebody. Okay, for that he jumps. Is he still in here? Is Mike Perry? Okay, this is trouble. Mike Perry has been removed from the UFC's pound for pound, and since I don't feel like looking up a website to redo this, I'm just gonna go with who they have on the roster. Even though, yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Maybe I can later on I can Photoshop him on here. I'll take a screenshot of this list and Photoshop him on here because he deserves to be on here after that. That was a very negative, and we love it. We love negativity here. So shoot, this is bad because we still have to find a place for Rockhold, Diaz, and Cowboy. Connor. Man, this is tough. We're going to put Brunson. We're going to put Derek Brunson in. So he's going to go 7. Let me check my reserves real quick. Bam Bam's really the only one who can move up right now. No one else has done anything. Kevin Holland moved to 185. I don't know if that warrants him moving up. So yeah, we're at 7 now. We have Derek Brunson at 7. And then we'll go Diaz, because at least Diaz fought. Nick Diaz, that is. Then we'll go Luke Rockhold. Okay. Luke Rockhold at 9. And then we'll go Cowboy Cerrone. I just looked up Cowboy as if he's going to pop up. Alright. Cowboy Cerrone. Let's see. And then we're going to do... Let's see. Then we'll do Marvin Vettori. Actually, wait. Marvin Vettori's got to move up. He's got to move up. I just forgot. He had a good win against Costa. We're going to move him up. He was at 11. We're going to move him up. He's going to be 6 now. So that means Hardy at 7, Brunson 8, 9 Diaz. Y'all get the rest. Okay. So that leaves us at 11. Okay, then we're going to go Aljamain Sterling. The real bantamweight champ. Also, I realized the other day that the UFC doesn't even have him on their men's pound for pound list, even though he's the champ. That's pretty funny. Okay, now this is very weird now because now we have Kevin Lee. And Kevin Lee, as you all know, has been cut. So we're going to replace him with Cub Swanson. He has earned a spot on the Flagrant Sports Pound for Pound at 13. And then we're going to go Walt Harris. Let me see if Walt Harris has done something recently. Walt Harris hasn't fought since Rosenstruck versus Sakai. Okay, well, I guess he's fine where he is then. Then we need one more spot. One more spot. Who do we want at that spot? That is the question. Let me think. Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, the meme fighter, one of the biggest memes in the UFC, but he's got to move up. He can't be 15. That is super disrespectful. So he is going to 6. So now Vettori moves to 7, Hardy 8, Brunson 9, all that stuff. So there we have it. The new, updated Flagrant Sports men's pound for pound list. Let me read it off just in case I forget once again. Number 1, Sean O'Malley. 2, Chris Matino, Ryan Hall, Paddy Pimblett, Bam Bam, Derek Lewis, Marvin Vettori, Greg Hardy, Derek Brunson, Nick Diaz, Luke Rockhold, Cowboy Cerrone, Aljo, Cub Swanson, and Walt Harris. There you have it, folks. I need to take a screenshot of this, but I don't remember how. So I'm just going to keep it on my browser. And let me just look it up. How to screenshot on Windows. Hit the print screen button. What is that? Oh, here it is. Boom. I did it. right? I don't know. I'll find it later. I think I just did it. What if I did it again? I just pressed it again. I don't know if that did anything. This is a horrible podcast. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm trying to figure out stuff as I go along. Yeah, I'll just keep it in my browser. So there we go. Man, what a list we have here. Like, that's iconic. That'll live for the test of time. And it's, like I said, the most prestigious honor in MMA to be the number one. Be on the list in general is just an honor. But there we have it. Now, I want to get to y'all's questions. We're only at the 25-minute mark. We're kind of flying here. I didn't realize how fast we were going with this. It's not necessarily a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing. So let me pull up y'all's questions. In the meantime, I saw the new Spider-Man movie the other day. Great movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say a great movie. So, here we go. I am Sean 15 asks, most overrated fighter of all time. See, I have a real problem with people have asked me this in the past, and I can't really give an answer because I don't think I have an overrated fighter, because maybe it's because I respect, a lot of the fighters. I have a lot of respect for them, so I don't feel comfortable saying that they're overrated, or maybe it's because I just genuinely don't think anybody's overrated. If I had to give an answer, I think just slightly I might go Vitor, just because he's referred to as a light heavyweight champion, which he was, don't get me wrong, but he got it in an Aljo type of thing where he cut Randy Couture with the glove on his eyelid. That's how he became champ. So it's a little weak, but Vitor was still a phenomenal fighter. Very good, elite jiu-jitsu, crazy power in his legs and his hands, just freakish level of athleticism, a great fighter. So I don't want to say he's overrated. But if I had to pick someone, I guess him. I don't like calling anybody overrated, All right. Period Hassan asks, what's next for Tony Ferguson and Cody Garbrandt? Cody, I don't think they'll cut Cody just because he's a fun fighter. Whether he gets knocked out or he knocks out someone, that's still fun for the fans to watch. So I don't think they'll cut him. But I don't know. I think he moves up back to bantamweight. I think that might be best for him. Who knows? It's a real tough road ahead for him. Same with Tony Ferguson. But it's not as bleak for Tony. Just because, well, maybe it is. At least Tony hasn't moved weights. Usually that's the last resort. But for Tony, maybe a fight against Michael Chandler, maybe. Maybe a fight against... I don't think they'll do Conor as soon as Conor comes back. But that would be a great matchup. Maybe one of those guys. Maybe I don't know. Both of those guys are really hard to see where they're going to go with their careers. All right, Riggs Finch asked, do you think Colby will ever be champion? Not as long as Usman's there. And Usman's seems like he's going to be there for at least the next 2 years. So, and by then, I think Colby, after 2 years of fighting, anything could happen. Colby might not be the elite fighter that he once was. Who knows? And I hate the people that are saying, "Oh, you should drop down to 155." You don't even know if he can make 155. I'm sure he could, but could he make it and fight at an elite level? So I'm just not a big fan of saying he should drop down and whatnot. But to answer your question, no. Even though he's a great fighter, someone else would have to be champion. Someone else, a Leon Edwards, would have to beat Usman, and then for some reason Usman doesn't get the title back, and Colby would get his chance. So maybe something like that. But not very likely. I don't think Colby has I don't know. I would say no. Very long-winded answer, but sorry. 10 Bean Corn asks, Not a question, but journeyman Street Judas Masvidal should retire for... Okay, anyways. Judas1 asks, do you think Darren Till will ever be UFC champion? I never want to count anyone out, but no. He seems... he's in this weird situation, I feel like, where he obviously was thrown to the wolves way too early, and it's too late to pull that back. If you pulled it back after the Woodley fight, it would have made sense, even after the Masvidal fight. But now it's getting to a point where it's like, well, you're such a big name now, you have to fight these top guys. And he wants to fight these top guys. That's what makes it tougher. It's like, Darren, like, if you just fought at the lower end of the rankings, like, you could really build yourself up. But he doesn't want to do that, and I respect that, because he's fought nothing but killers ever since he fought Cowboy. So, man, I don't think he will, especially with, Izzy running 185. But I'd like to see it, I like Darren. He's a nice guy. Cool dude. All right. Pyrrhus Teros asks, what's the biggest upset in UFC history? It's between Matt Serra and GSP versus Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes. And that's really tough to pick between the two because, for one, like, Matt Serra was arguably a worse fighter. I don't even think it's arguable. Matt Serra, at that point in his career, was a worse fighter than Juliana Pena was right now. Like, Juliana Pena is one of the top, at this point, she's the champ, so she's literally, leader of the pack. But before she fought Nunes, she was one of the best bantamweights in the world. Matt Serra, he was on the Ultimate Fighter for the dudes who kind of failed their UFC career, Like, they had a couple losses, all that stuff. So that's what kind of bids in the favor of the GSP answer. But also, Amanda Nunes was more established as an all-time great than GSP was at that time. So that kind of leans it in their favor. Man, if I had to pick, I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena just because Nunes had that unbeatable aura, She was the GOAT. No one was going to beat her. She was going to go through Pena, at least according to other people, go through Pena and just maybe fight Shevchenko for a third time and ride off in the sunset or something like that, But that kind of threw a whole monkey wrench into everything. Speaking of Amanda, Nathan DeHart52 asks, what's next for Amanda? What do you think will happen? Immediate rematch. I think that's pretty clear, They have to run it back. She's the greatest of all time. They have to. So that's what's next for her. And what do I think will happen? I think she'll get the belt back. But once again, you cannot sleep on Pena. I said it the first fight. I'm going to say it for the second fight. You cannot sleep on Juliana Pena. All right. Proud and Brown asks, who wins, Yuri or John Jones at 205? I'm going to go John Jones right now. That's interesting. If you're saying prime John Jones, I'm going prime John Jones. But John Jones right now, he's kind of, he's not as dominant as an offensive wrestler as he used to be. So I don't know how easily he'd be able to get Yuri down. And I think he might, I think he could still do it. On the feet, that's going to be tough for John just because of how unorthodox Yuri is. But John is such a masterful, he might be the best defensive fighter in UFC history. Because not only is he amazing defensively on his feet, the way he uses his reach to maintain distance, all that stuff. But he is also incredible in terms of defensive wrestling. He's been on his back, I think, for 13 seconds in his entire UFC career. 13 seconds he's been on his back. And he has fought countless fights in the UFC and gone against countless studs, especially wrestling studs. Like Rashad Evans is a great wrestler. Daniel Cormier twice. Who else was a fantastic wrestler he went against? He went against, Glover Teixeira has a very good top game. Stuff like that where, it's just all these elite level fighters. He just made them look like nothing and all these, dominant wrestlers. He's like, I'll take you down. I don't care how good of a wrestler you are. I'm better. But so if I had to pick, I would have to go John just because he's John. But I think it'd be a tough fight for him. All right. McGregor versus Oliveira. Who wins and how? Like, if it were to happen, obviously. Right now, I have to go with Oliveira. And, Conor packs a heavy punch, and Oliveira has a tendency to get caught and to get hurt. And if Conor lands just right, Oliveira could get really hurt, especially with that left hand Conor's got. But I just think, Oliveira is the baddest 155er on the planet right now for a reason. His stand-up's incredible. His jiu-jitsu is probably the greatest we've ever seen in the octagon. It's produced the best results, at least. So, I'd have to go with Oliveira. All right. Sorry, Matt Veer Hill asked that. Jaden R12 asks, what's next for Dustin? I feel like, I don't think he is going for money fights like everyone says he's going to. I don't think he's going to fight Nate Diaz. I think that's just a bunch of talk. I think he gets back on the road for another title shot. He maybe goes against a Michael Chandler, maybe. He maybe goes for the fourth fight against McGregor. That might make a lot of sense. Maybe he goes against Tony. Who knows? There's some really interesting fights there at 155 for him. His career is not over, man. He can definitely get back to a title. All right. So Nude 654305 asks, do you think Wonderboy will ever be champ? If not, why? At this point, seeing what Bilal was able to do to him, no. Because that pretty much answers the question for how would a fight go against Usman. He would get taken down. We just saw it from Gilbert, and we just saw it from Bilal. And you can argue Usman's a better wrestler than Bilal. I mean, I don't even think it's a question. Usman's a better wrestler. Gilbert's tough, but you would still give the edge to Usman. I think so at least. So, I don't think that man, I'm just trying to think because I just don't know how you can see those two performances from Wonderboy and think he can beat someone like Usman, And let's say Usman wasn't champ and it was Colby. Do you think the same thing wouldn't happen to Wonderboy that happened against Gilbert and Bilal? Let's say it's Gilbert. Well, we just saw that fight. Let's say it's Hamzat. Okay, yeah, good luck, Wonderboy. And I don't mean to sound mean, but it's just I don't think his defensive wrestling's there anymore. So unfortunately, no, I don't think he'll ever be champion. Josh period 606 asks, who do you think will be the bantamweight champion 2 years from now? I got to go with Petr Yan. Sorry, excuse me. My nose has been really stuffy for some reason. Got to go with Petr Yan because Petr Yan, in my opinion, could go down as the greatest bantamweight of all time. He has all the skill set. He has, I think he has the best boxing in the UFC because it's more than just how many times did you hit someone. And that's no shade at Max, but defensive boxing has to play a factor in determining who's the better boxer. If you're Max, you can't get hit as many times as you can or did and say you're a better boxer than Petr because Petr doesn't really get caught that much. Petr has very good head movement, and very good defensive boxing. So he has the boxing. He is insanely strong for the 135 division, and he has really good wrestling. And a lot of that is complemented by his strength, the ability to kind of keep guys like Aljo off of him. So, yeah, man. And he's just a smart dude. He's tough. He's got a killer mentality. You just look at him before a fight, and you just know he's just gonna go in there and just like an assassin and just take care of business. And he has a very good gas tank because he is very smart about how he starts fights. We all know he starts fights at a very slow rate. And that's what makes it hard to evaluate how opponents do against him. Because Corey looked great in those opening rounds. but was it because Piotr was kind of not necessarily taking those rounds off, but, starting out a little bit slow like he usually does? Or was it because Corey was legitimately getting the better of him with that foot movement and that, the footwork, the head movement, the crazy, lateral movement and whatnot, his unorthodox kind of striking? Was it because of that and he kind of gassed going into those later rounds? Or was it because Jan wasn't, giving it all he had in those opening rounds? Who knows? It makes it hard to evaluate every single one of Jan's opponents. Same with Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo early on in that fight had a lot of success against Jan. If Jan went out in round 1 like he does in rounds 4 and rounds 5, would Aldo look the same? Would Corey look the same? It's a really interesting question. But so to answer your question, Piotr Jan. All right. Ross Bertrand 3 asks, where do you rank DC in an all-time list? I rank him 6. And I have, if we're just counting men and we're just counting UFC, I have John Jones, GSP, Anderson Silva, Demetrius Johnson, Khabib, and DC. A lot of people are not going to like that Khabib ranking. I don't care. I've defended Khabib enough. Go watch my videos. You'll see why I think Khabib is the 5th greatest UFC fighter of all time. All right. The real STG69 asks, what fight are you most excited for in 2022? Could be boxing or MMA. Ooh, there's a lot of great fights. A lot of interesting fights just matchup-wise. Like Gon versus Ngannou is going to be very intriguing. I'm excited to see Muhammad Mokaev's UFC debut and professional debut. I'm excited to watch. Let's just look up some events. Why not? We got some time. Let's see. UFC 2022 events. Adesanya versus Whitaker 2 is going to be amazing. Calvin Kattar versus Giga. I can never pronounce his last name. Please forgive me. Giga Shikaze. Very excited for that. Will Kattar ever be the same after that Max fight? Who knows? Moreno versus Figueiredo 3. I'm just, did we really need to see a third fight between them? Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermanson, I like. That's a fun matchup. Obviously, I just mentioned Adesanya Whitaker 2. I'm just kind of scrolling through it right now. Jessica I versus Manon Fiorot. I'm very high on Manon Fiorot. If you watch my TikToks, cannot wait to see her fight again. I think you give her a title shot after that win. I don't care. She deserves it. She is fantastic. Jan Blachowicz versus Alexander Rakic. That'll be fun. Let me go on what's that one website called? I don't know. MMA Junkie? Don't they have? I don't know. I can't look up every single event, but that's my answer. All of them. But if I had to pick, probably Adesanya versus Whitaker 2. Right now that's been officially confirmed. That's going to be crazy. Top 10 active and all time. Ooh, so basically you're asking me my top 10 pound for pound right now. And we're going to do the actual, we're going to do the UFC pound for pound, not the Flagrant Sports pound for pound, even though that is the definitive pound for pound. Let's see. I would have Usman at 1. Volkanovski at 2 is interesting because I think Adesanya, I want to put him at 2, but since he lost to Blachowicz, you know what? I don't care that he lost to Blachowicz. Adesanya's number 2. If you're looking at base what he's done in his division, and I know you can't do that when it's a pound for pound, I don't care. Adesanya's my number 2. I'm going Volk, Ngannou, Oliveira. I'm taking out John Jones. He hasn't fought in forever. Then I would go Max. I'm putting Stipe over Dustin. I'll go Brandon. I'll go Piotr Jan. Actually, I'm putting Piotr Jan right after Oliveira. And then the rest I just mentioned. And then Whitaker, Glover, Surreal. Sorry, that's not a definitive. I I don't feel like writing all this down to come up with the top 10. But all time, I gave you my top 6. That's good enough. I'll go with like Aldo. I don't know. You figure it out. I gave you my top 6. Like, that's good enough. I'm not trying to come up with top 10 off the top of my head and say something stupid. Most underrated fighters, at least right now. Before the Michael Chiesa fight, I would have said Sean Brady, but now he's gotten a little bit more of the limelight. I'm going to say it again, Manon Fiorot. Gotta think. Said Nurmagomedov is crazy good. Let me think of all the different divisions we have. Tom Aspinall looks phenomenal. I feel like that's a good list. Finn Lambo asks, what's next for Izzy if he beats Rob again? I don't know, man. I don't think he goes back to challenge Glover. I don't even think Dana would let him since Yuri seems to be next in line. I think he just goes on and faces the winner of Brunson versus Cannonier. That would be an interest. It'd be cool to see him fight Brunson again, but it'd be nice to see him fight Cannonier, someone new. But he hasn't fought Brunson as champion, so there is that. So yeah, winner of that fight. I think that makes the most sense. User 487-369-2848-213777. He asks, Hamzat potential, and why is he not getting fights? His potential is he of course could be champion. I'm very confident in saying that. It's not going to be easy because Usman's a beast, but he could, And why is he not getting fights? Well, Michael Chiesa has been calling him out for the longest time. Neil Magny. Neil Magny's been calling him out for the longest time. So I don't know why they're not giving him that Magny fight. Part of me feels like they're waiting on a bigger name. But I don't know. I mean, I think they're waiting on a bigger name, and I think they're trying to build up that aura of Hamzat being this unbeatable, fighter and this monster that no one wants to fight. I think they're really building up that narrative. But yeah, so that's all the questions we got, and I feel like that's a good time to end it. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for listening. We're at about 48 minutes. Not bad. Next time I'll try not to fly through everything. I'll try and spend a little bit more time on the topics. But I feel like I say everything I wanted to say, so I just kind of move on. So there's no awkward silence. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'm going to try and do this every Wednesday. Every Wednesday sounds good. I know this was done on Thursday, but every Wednesday makes sense for me. It makes sense for timing. Or maybe Thursdays, once the PFL comes back around and they keep doing theirs on Wednesdays, I'll do it on a Thursday so I can cover the PFL too. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'll see y'all next Wednesday. And it's going to be interesting what I'm going to do for these next couple of podcasts because there's going to be really no MMA going on. So I'll let y'all know what I'm going to be doing. I might do one next Wednesday if there's nothing going on. There's going to be no point. But yeah, I'll keep y'all updated on my TikTok. I'm going to be getting my YouTube up soon and making videos on that. So stay tuned, besides the podcast, obviously. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I will see y'all later.